top of the morning, and it is a beaut.
And the hope of the Irish as the future champion of the world.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio.
Here's Barry J. McDonald and the RightCom.com podcast.
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from RightCom.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled, Don't Take It to the Grave With You. Now, if the acoustics sound a little bit different or the quality isn't as good, the reason is I do a lot of my podcasting in the car, and today is an absolute sweltering day. I've got the dog in the boot of the car, so it's not fair on her having all the windows wound up tight. God, we just bake in here. So if you do hear any background noises, that's the reason because of it, because I just have the windows down at the moment as I'm recording this episode. Now, the title of this podcast episode, Don't Take It to the Grave With You, is something that I had written about this morning in a blog post. Now, I bought a book recently, I can't remember the author's name, but it was a book on finding your unique selling proposition. You know, what makes you different than anyone else? You know, if you were a fiction writer, in a world of fiction writers, what makes you special? What makes you stand out? Again, if you're a podcaster, what makes your podcast different from everyone else's? You know, what is your blog? What makes your blog stand out among everybody else? So having a kind of unique selling position makes you separate from everyone else. You can't be compared to anyone else. And when you can't be compared to anyone else, you know, your prices, you can probably charge a little bit more because your content is unique, or the message you have is unique. You're not, the same as everyone else. But anyway, in that book, she had come up with an exercise. I can't remember exactly what the full exercise was, but basically she said, can you sum up yourself and your business in one line? So I remember giving that a lot of thought, and I said to myself, well, what makes me special, or what makes me different than maybe some of the other people online here at the moment? And I was kind of thinking back to some of the things I have done this past couple of years. You know, I was originally a shelf stacker who got into fiction writing, who got into creating courses, helping people create low content books. I got into podcasting and I got into TikTok videos. So as I have gone on this past couple of years, I've kind of noticed, that I had a lot more talent in me than I thought I had. I had a lot more ideas in me than I thought I had. And, I never really knew that until I kind of pushed at the envelope just to have a look and see, could you do that thing? Could you write a book? Could you record a podcast? Could you hold a camera up to your face and record a video? I'd never really done that before. And the more I kind of tried new things and developed new things, I realized, something, Barry, you're not as dumb as you thought you were. You can write a bit of fiction. You can actually write a daily email. You can, probably record a decent podcast, but I'll leave that decision up to you. But, there's a lot of things in you that you didn't realize that you had. Now, at my age of being 50, I'm not an old fart. Not yet, anyway. But I can see that, some people, as they're going through their life, they will reach a point maybe in their 30s, their 40s, or 50s, and they'll kind of stop at that moment, and they'll say to themselves, well, something, if I haven't done it by now, I'll never do it. If I've never written a book before the age of 50, well, I'll never write a book, or I'll never record a podcast, or I'll never do a video. A lot of us kind of get tied into this idea that if we don't do a certain thing at a certain age in our life, well, then we'll never do it. But what I'd found, this past couple of years, as I've kind of been pushing myself more and more and getting more out of my comfort zone and doing things that are uncomfortable and awkward for me, I have found that, something, Barry, you can do these things. So the more I thought about that exercise and the more I thought about that one sentence that I had come up with, that was, what I come up with, that I help people, or I'd like to help people do more with their lives and their talents and not take that all to the grave. Because right now, there may be someone who is listening right now who could be a fantastic fiction writer, but they are dismissing that idea because they think they haven't got the talent, or they think that they needed to be great at English at school, or they think that, they need all these different connections, or they need money, or they need knowledge, or they need all these different things, and they don't do it. And sometimes, when I'm creating my content, whether that is maybe TikTok videos, the podcast here, whatever, the reason I maybe talk a lot about motivation and inspiration and things like that is because that is my kind of backbone. That is the kind of thing that I'm basing my business on at the moment, is helping people uncover talents, abilities that they have, because I don't want them to take it to the grave. And maybe right now you have maybe played it safe because of your age, or maybe because you think, well, something, I can't do it. I've never been singled out as being great at anything at all, and there's nothing that I can do. But you'll be really, really surprised that, when you actually do things that you've never done before, you will find that you're going to have a love for it. You are probably going to have some skills for it. You might actually be good at it. Maybe you are going to uncover some talents and abilities that you didn't think you had because you've never ever done it before. So that's what I'm trying to say to you, in the content that I'm recording and creating at the moment. I want you not to take your talents or your skills or your ideas to the grave, because I think one of the saddest things is to, when you walk past a graveyard, it's not, the sadness of the loss of the people. It's the sadness of all the things that they took with them. Go past any graveyard now and, there's probably hundreds of great books in there. There are probably people in there who were great speakers, people who could have been great movie stars, people who could have been great athletes, people who could have been great business owners, but because of maybe their sex, maybe the year they were born or whatever, those abilities were never used. Or maybe they just had a bad upbringing where they had no support from parents or whatever, who always told them that they were dumb or they'd never amount to anything, and because of that they took all those talents and all those dreams and all those ideas with them. So I hope maybe in some way that, if you are listening to the podcast, I hope maybe regularly, I hope maybe I'm firing you up a little bit, or making you think, well, something, if Barry can do it, I can do it. If Barry can record a podcast, I can do a podcast. If he can write fiction, well, I'm sure I can write fiction too. So please, don't take your skills, don't take your talents, and don't take your ideas with the grave with you. Get them out now while you're still alive, because the world is going to miss out because you don't create that content. Now, you may be looking at yourself or thinking to yourself, but I'm just me. Hey, I'm the same. I'm just a me as well. We're all just me's at the end of the day. So don't be putting any of us on a platform. Don't be thinking that any of us is better than you are. We're not. We're all the same. Some people that may be further along than you have probably just taken action on those talents, on those dreams and those ideas. And the reason that they are further ahead is because of that. That doesn't mean that they are better than you. That doesn't mean that their dreams, their talents, their abilities are far better than anything you could have. I'm sure if you sat down and really focused on you, you would find some great ideas inside you. You would find some great abilities inside you. So don't dismiss yourself. There are great ideas, talents and abilities in you, but please don't take them to the grave, because the world is going to miss out right now if you do that. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the Writecome.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.